Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast, where you'll be not only allowed, but encouraged to dream big dreams and imagine the very best future for yourself and your family. Throw away expectations and perfection and embrace the messy beauty of what it means to be a marvelous mom. I'm your host, Kirsten Tyrell, and I can't wait to help you discover what makes you marvelous. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. I think you're going to love this one, and I will say that for a bunch of different reasons. If you are a busy mom and you're trying to balance and juggle healthy eating, getting your workout in, all those good things that kind of make us cringe a little bit, but we know it's because we know we're supposed to be doing it, and we just need somebody to simplify it for us. My guest today has really stepped up and done that for you, so welcome Katie Farrell to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Kristen.
Of course. Okay, so I want to first of all paint a picture for everybody of what your mommy life looks like, how many kids you have, and the ages and stages of mommyhood that you're in right now.
Definitely. I have a almost 2-year-old. Her name is Madeline, and gosh, people told me all the time that time flies, and then suddenly they turn 2, and I'm right there. I'm like, how is
Yeah.
she almost 2? So yeah, so she's a sweet girl, and you know, it's busy to have a toddler, but I feel like I'm blessed because she loves to read and just sit in my lap, and
Oh, that's
I,
nice.
I mean,
That's
she's
so nice.
she's pretty sweet and quiet, so it makes it
Cool.
that much, yeah, that much more fun and enjoyable.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about the app that you've created, and maybe even just more of like the backstory of when it began and even a little bit of your story, because I know that's pretty much probably a big part of the reason you even created the app. So just take us back in time a little bit to the problem you saw and kind of why you solved it and how you solved it.
Yeah, sure. I actually started Dashing Dish, which is the name of my website and app, um, probably about a little over 10 years ago. I was actually working as a labor and delivery nurse, and
Oh,
I
wow.
was bringing in all of my recipes that were really healthy, but still, people's favorite food. So, like, think cupcakes and pizza and cookies. And so I was bringing all these things to work, and people kept saying to me, oh my gosh, this is not healthy. And so I went home one day after a 12-hour nursing shift, and I said to my husband, people don't believe that these recipes are healthy, and they're always asking me for these recipes. And my husband is a graphic designer, so he said to me, you know what, Katie, we really need to start you a food blog. And at the time, this was before food blogs were even a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even know what they were. And I was like, you mean a website? And so he's like, yeah, just trust me. Just trust me. This is going to be great. And so I had no idea what I was doing. And I just started making, um, you know, blog posts and putting a picture up. And I had no idea what I was doing for taking pictures or writing recipes or anything. But I just started sharing them, and honestly, I just thought this is something that I can share with the my nursing staff and maybe my family and friends. And
Yeah.
it really took off pretty quickly after that, because people started kind of uh, sharing my recipes and sharing about my website. And probably about a year or two in, I was able to make it a full-time job when a publisher came to me and said, hey, we would really love to write a cookbook with you.
Cool.
And so I wrote my first cookbook 2 years into after starting Dashing Dish and was able to go full time with it.
Awesome. That's so crazy. So you really, I mean, a part of this is being able to jump in there and get out into the space before it even really existed, right? Like before people knew what they were doing. And it kind of seems like you stumbled into something completely awesome. And then you've just been able to grow it and scale it from there, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, even though it was at the beginning, not really a trendy thing to do food blogs yet. I think that even now, if
Yeah.
somebody has a passion for it, don't be scared to start, even though food blogs are, somewhat oversaturated on the internet. Because
But what
I
isn't,
think,
right?
right,
Everything is
exactly,
oversaturated.
exactly. And I would just encourage you, if that is something that you're passionate about, is sharing recipes and food on the internet, do it from a place of passion, and people will catch on and follow. And
Yeah.
you know, the biggest thing is I think that my heart's motive, no matter how big or small Dashing Dish is, my heart's motive is to ultimately help people uh,
Hmm.
find a passion for food and a passion for creating healthy recipes.
Yeah.
And so, regardless what that looks like as far as followers and an audience number, I think that, my passion still remains the same, and my heart's motives remain there. And so ultimately, it's not about popularity or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's more or
Yeah.
less about just helping people.
Right. Absolutely. 100% agree. I told you before that's such an important message of here on the podcast and with this community is I think it's so easy to get stuck in that excuse of like, oh, everything's already been done. Well, I'll be the first to tell you, or maybe second, because Katie just said that. Like, everything kind of has been done, but nobody has done it like you, and nobody is
Yes.
you, and nobody has approached it the way that you will. And so, and for me too, like, I think it's so funny that everybody has started to say that, like, oh, blogging is kind of dead. Now everything's on Instagram. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but I don't really search Instagram for recipes because it's not
Hmm.
easy, right? Like, there's still a space for going and searching stuff, and I still discover blogs that have existed for years that are just now showing up in my life. So that's the cool thing about what you created is not even if it had the longevity, but like somebody could start one today, and in 6 months somebody's going to discover your content and they're going to be grateful that you put it out there. So it is all about serving and putting out there because you're passionate about it, because it matters to you, and because it's fun. And I wish more people experience the joy of, like, it's kind of like a trifecta, right? Like, it's fun, it helps people, and it's making you a living. And that's seriously something we should all be doing, but so few people ever get to achieve. So those are my
It's
thoughts.
very true. Very true.
So tell me a little bit about how that evolved into the app. So you had the book, you did the cookbook, and it looks like you
Mhm.
also have kind of like premium, like a premium membership on the website too for certain recipes.
Mhm.
So how has that kind of evolved out for you guys?
Well, my husband, being a graphic designer, was from the get-go totally against doing ads. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, that's how we make money. Like, that's how
Yeah.
everybody makes money. And he's like, nope, we're not going to do it like everybody else, because he visually could not even stand the thought of ads popping up in your face while you're scrolling through a website.
Hmm.
I, to this day, still don't quite get that, but I totally was like, okay, then if you're going to be against that, then you need to come up with something else that can make us some money, because if I'm going to do this full time, we have to have a way, right? And
Yeah.
so he said, why don't we create a donation basis for, signing up for Dashing Dish membership? And so
Hmm.
at the very beginning, of probably about 8 years ago, we started off just creating some membership content, and we it was donation basis. So if you wanted to donate, you could a dollar, or whatever you feel. If Dashing Dish was a blessing to you, then you could donate whatever you felt that you wanted to. And so
Yeah.
we started there, and that was before we had a grocery meal planning tools and our app and all of that. It was just the website. And
Hmm.
then from there, a few years into it, I said, hey, we really need to come up with something that will help women take their recipes and actually make them, because I don't think people are having a hard time making food. I think it's hard for women to sit down and say, okay, here's what we're going to have for the week, and then actually
Hmm.
make the grocery list and actually carry it out and make the food. That's what I
Right.
think the disconnect, where it lies. And so we created tools to help anyone and everyone that has any problem with actually carrying out the organization part of meal planning. And so when we did that, that's when we said, okay, let's create a paid content membership that it pays for the tools. And
Yeah.
so that was the route we ended up going with Dash and Dish. And when we did that, we also created our iPhone app. We currently are updating our entire website, but also we're creating an Android app, and coming up with a whole new, um, a bunch of new tools, a bunch of new stuff And it'll be launched probably this fall, definitely before the new year. So we're
Awesome.
excited about that because people have been asking for Android app for quite some time now. So
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And so tell everybody kind of what the app as of right now, and even I guess you don't have to tell us all the new things that are coming out, but as of right now, kind of what it entails. Because I know it's not just here's your recipes, it's really a comprehensive app that pulls it all together, including your workouts, right?
yeah, definitely. Living a healthy lifestyle is um, I think it gets overcomplicated when we try to
Hmm.
find, a little bits and pieces and we pull from a million different things and then we end up feeling more confused than ever. And so we
Yes.
try to just make everything so simplified and bring it all together in one place for living a healthy lifestyle. So we have workouts that can almost all be done right at home with just a few dumbbells, just really simplify the process of getting healthy and living a healthy lifestyle. And then also with our recipes, I always tell people, you know what? Even though I'm a recipe developer, I don't love to be in the kitchen for 3 hours. I also don't
Hmm.
love doing 8 loads of dishes a day. So every single recipe on Dashing Dish is so simple. And you can use one bowl to make the entire recipe,
Yeah.
and so I'm really practical in that way of what do I actually want to do in my daily life. I don't want to sit here and, scroll through recipes for 45 minutes and then write a grocery list for another 20. Like, who has time for that? So we
Right.
make it so easy. You can drag and drop the recipes into a grocery list, into a meal plan builder, so you know exactly what you're having for the week. And it can all be done right on your iPhone. And then the cool thing is, you can bring your phone to the grocery store and check things off as you go when you're grocery shopping. So you don't end up buying more than you need or buying things and then saying, okay, now what do I make with all of this?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because that's for me, that's the hardest thing is you get all ambitious, you go to the store and you buy a ton of fruits and vegetables and all that air quotes healthy foods, right? Then you get home and you're like,
Right.
oh man. I mean, it's I feel like you can't win because then you plan for stuff and you buy a bunch, but then life gets in the way and you maybe don't understand how to make something. I know we end up wasting so much food because I'm like, we're
Yeah.
going to do smoothies and I buy a ton of smoothie ingredients and I don't realize how much I can't quite get through. And then we end up having to throw a lot away. So I love that and you said you can bring your phone with you. It's like, of course, because you have your phone with you all the time. I can't tell you how many times my mom has called me and been like, "Can you tell me what's on my list? I left it at home." And I'm like, "Mother, use
Right.
use your phone."
Yep.
And you
Yep.
never
It's
lose
so
your
true.
list.
It's
I
so
love that.
true.
And I've kind of scrolled through the website too, and I do love because I'm a person who I love going to the gym. I love having a gym membership because you're around people who have like the same, passion and motivation to be healthy. But my gym is 20 minutes away, and sometimes it just doesn't fit in. And I don't like that if I don't go, that I don't get a workout in. And it is overwhelming and daunting to kind of, there's a million different things out there. But here's what I love about pulling it all together. That one hit wonder aspect is so amazing because if I know there's just one place I need to go and I can get everything I need for the day as far as my healthy eating plan and my workout schedule, then I really have no excuses if it's just right there. And I don't have to Google and figure out what's a workout that's going to make me sweat for 20 minutes. It's in there and you have instructions on how to do each exercise. And there's quite a few to choose from. So I really love that. It's kind of like it's like the no excuse zone for moms. Make sure you're getting that healthy lifestyle in. There's an app for that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, as moms, we have a million things to think about every day. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, we don't have time, at least I don't, and I just have one kid.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't have time to sit here and scroll through a million different, things and try and find a workout for every new day or, a new recipe that my whole family will love. So that's
Hmm.
why I really do try and make it easy and a no-brainer because that way, we don't have the time or the brain power oftentimes to even find something new. And so, if it's all in one place, then it's just easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. Cool. I love it. And I think it's super useful. So tell everybody kind of like maybe like your favorite component or how it's really even helped you as a mom. I'm sure that you use your app all the time and I'm sure you utilize this resource. What's kind of been, I guess, maybe even your favorite success story from people that you have have in your audience that have really loved utilizing this tool?
Yeah, definitely. I find that one of my favorite things is that everything can just be right on your phone, like we talked about,
Yeah.
because I will be in my kitchen all the time and just needing to make one of my own recipes. And especially with baking, it's such a science. You can't just wing it. So a lot of times I'll just pull up my phone and check off my ingredients as I go, as I'm making it. And it's literally all at my fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Another great thing, too, is I do cooking shows, and whenever I am sending off my grocery list, I have to usually triple each recipe in order
Mm-hmm.
to make it for my cooking show. So you're talking like a mega grocery list. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how big of a family you have, because maybe you're looking at me and you're thinking, okay, you have a family of three. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But I do know, because like I said, when you have to triple a recipe and you have to grocery shop for 12 different recipes times three, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
so I love using my app for that reason. I literally take each of the recipes and I just drag it into the grocery list 3 times and it adds it. And the great thing is, our grocery list actually is broken up into sections of the store. So you can just, see where your produce is, where your meats are, all of that, right, all in the same place of where you'd actually find it in a grocery store. So
That's
it really
awesome.
simplifies the process, and it doesn't matter how big or how small, your grocery list is. It makes it really easy. And then I love, I'm just a very visual person.
Mm-hmm.
So I love feeling organized and having to-do lists and having lists that I can see. So when you print out our meal plan builder, so you can either create your own or I provide one weekly if you don't have even the brain power to create a meal plan.
Yeah.
And then you can just print it off and you can either look at it right on your phone or you can see it on your fridge so that you know exactly what you're having for every meal of the day. I
That's
always
awesome.
encourage people to, if you are overwhelmed at the thought of meal planning or having a plan for the week, I always encourage people just start with your meal that is the most overwhelming to you. Like if dinner time is just so chaotic at your house, start planning for dinners and then, get those nailed down and then go from there. And that's a
Yeah.
really easy way to start meal planning.
Right. Yeah, that's true because I think it's super daunting to think, okay, I have to plan for breakfast, lunches, and dinners. And sometimes
Hmm.
just the dinners can be, I mean, it's like a full time endeavor to, especially when you're transitioning into a healthier eating lifestyle and everything is foreign and everything is different and how you've been doing things. And even just the concept of meal planning can be very foreign when you're like, what? I actually have to plan what I'm going to want to
Yeah.
eat on Wednesday. It's
Yeah.
Sunday. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
I love that.
And
Go ahead.
another thing too is I talk a lot about just meal planning tips and ways to get started on Dashing Dish in our blog. So that's another thing that we have is a whole blog that's probably, gosh, hundreds of pages of just ways to really break it down and make it easy.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think that's very helpful. And I think it sounds like you've kind of solved the problem. And so basically, you guys listening, now it's just in your hands. Go download the app and then you have no excuses. So maybe you love us, maybe you hate us for that, because I know that's our favorite thing is to say, "Oh, I just don't have enough time." And if you guys have had time to listen to this episode, you have time to go download the app and make a menu plan because Katie has made it that simple for you. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for coming on and sharing that for everybody. I have one more question for you that I ask all my moms who come on the podcast. What makes you a marvelous mom?
Oh gosh, that's an in-depth but simple question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is this is something I'm learning all the time is just priorities. I try to always keep my family the first priority, and man, that's easier said than done a lot of times. But I try to just take a moment each day and kind of reflect and say, all right, is my family first? And if not, I try and shift priorities the best that I can, because I believe when we put our families first, everything else will turn out better.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much again for spending some time here. Everybody go check out Dashing Dish. There's so much on there. And of course, download the app. And hopefully by the time you guys are listening to this, you won't have a whole long time to wait until that Android app comes out. We will link to everything in the show notes. Thank you again for being on, Katie. We've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, ladies. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a marvelous day. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to take action right now, you're feeling inspired and you're feeling enlightened, and you really want to own this role as a marvelous mom, go to the website, marvelousmomsclub.com/me, and create your own personal Marvelous Moms Manifesto. That is a tongue twister. marvelousmomsclub.com/me. You go fill in some great information, and in the end, you'll have a beautiful manifesto to display where only you can see or the whole family can see, where you can really, really own your role as a marvelous mom and step inside those goals and those ambitions and dreams that you have to become an even more marvelous mom to your beautiful family. So again, marvelousmomsclub.com/me. We will see you over there.